Thunderbolt Ross. He's known for trying to catch the Hulk and also being the Red Hulk. Those cards in Marvel Snap are more than 10 power. Guess what Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross does? Finds cards that are 10 power. Genius.
Is it worth it?
What's going on, nerds? Let's jump in. Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross is a 2 energy, 2 power card that says, waste your turn. Just kidding, it says when your opponent ends a turn with unspent energy, draw a card with 10 or more power. Can you tell how I feel about this card? Not gonna lie, I can't really think of many redeeming qualities of this card. Maybe I'm being a little crazy here, but this card's straight doo-doo. Just put it this way, Crystal is a 3 energy, 4 power card that draws you a card. Yeah, it draws your opponent a card as well, but when you play it, it draws a card. Do you see Crystal a lot running around in the metagame? What? What's that? No, you don't? Well, guess what? Crystal doesn't depend on the charity of opponents like Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross does. However, his name is Thaddeus, so that's a bonus. Also, it goes in Surtur decks. Where else are you really going to play this? Because you're probably stacking your deck with a bunch of 10 power cards, and there's one deck in the entire game that does that. I will say, have you ever been playing a Surtur deck and just sat there and been like, man, I wish I could draw one of my 10 power cards because I don't have one of the 4 or 5 10 power cards in my deck in my hand right now? No, you never said that. Because if this card is good in your deck, you already have a 10 power card in your hand. Because that's how drawing cards works. So, is it all bad? Can you? I think so. The first good part here, it draws. Yeah. The second good part here, his mustache. That's a sick mustache.
Authentic, iconic, the greatest of all time.
My mustache looks like that if I shave the rest of my beard, and it's so overpowering that I just can't do it. One time, like if you're a guy, you know what I'm talking about. When if you shave your beard and leave your mustache and you show your girlfriend or your wife, you're like, oh, check this out. And they're always like, no, please don't. Shave that off too. Well, one time I did that, but I kept the mustache. And let me tell you, this is really thick. And I was going to the grocery store, and my friend Henry was like, you don't have the balls to wear that mustache for more than a day. And I was like, fuck you, dude. Yes, I do. This mustache is dope. And he was like, I promise you, you don't. I went to HEB, bought some groceries, and all I could think when I was like buying stuff was everyone's looking at me like I'm a fucking psycho. And I got home and I shaved it off, and Henry was like, I told you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So for Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross to have that mustache, it's fucking impressive. Third thing here, his name is Thaddeus. If my name was Thaddeus, I would tell people to call me Chattius, because that is a fucking gangster name. On to the bad, terrible late. If you play this on turn 4, 5, and 6, I guess on turn 4 it's okay, but on turn 5 it's not that great. Also, people are usually using all of the energy on turns 5 and 6, probably even 4. So yeah, unless you play this on turn 2 or on turn 3, 50-50 on turn 4, I think it's just a bad card, especially because it's only 2 power. You're not really getting anything out of it aside from the draw. Second thing here, drawing doesn't win you games. Sure, say it draws you 2 cards in a game. Are you winning that game because you have 2 extra cards in your hand? No, you're winning the game because of the cards you play and because of how your deck functions. Surtur, those decks run a lot of 10 power cards. They don't lose games because they didn't draw their 10 power cards. You always have those cards in your hand because you're running 5 of them usually, and you see every card in your deck except for 3. You have like an 80% chance to draw whatever singular card you plan on drawing. So yeah, drawing doesn't win you the games. Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross adds little power, and just because you see extra cards doesn't mean you win. Anyways, next, depends on the opponent. With Wiccan being a popular card, they are always using the energy. So this is just a dead card against any Wiccan deck. Against bounce decks, it's absolutely dead because they can use all their energy every single turn. The only time I can see this card actually being like scary for the opponent, I guess, is a good way to put it, is against like Zabu Psylocke decks, because they are usually floating energy every now and then. But once again, that brings you back to point 2. Drawing the card doesn't play the card. You still have to play the card. So, And anyways, the point here is it depends on the opponent. what if they never don't spend all their energy? You played 2 power. Freaking big whoop, dude. And then the fourth thing here, you have to play 3 10 power cards minimum. So, like I've said before, this is obviously only going in one deck, a Surger deck, because no other deck in the game is going to want to pack like 4 or 5 10 power cards unless you're really abusing that mechanic. Like, are you going to put this in a deck that just happens to run Magneto, Arrow, and I don't know, Cold Obsidian or something? No, you're not gonna put that in those decks. So yeah, I mean, you have to pack your deck full of a specific type of card. And if your deck is packed full of those specific types of cards, do you really care about drawing an extra one? No, you don't. Next thing, 1 deck card. It's a Surger card. Next, his finger looks weird. Just check out the card here. I'll put it up on the screen right now. What the fuck is up with that finger?
What the fuck is that?
Moving on, onto an example deck. I'm sure you could make a deck with Thunderbolt Ross that isn't this deck. So I'm sure you can do it. Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to do it. It's a Surger card. What the fuck else do you want from me? Moving on. All right, now this is where it gets interesting. Recommendation. Should you spend your resources on getting Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross? Probably going to get buffed, so sure. But the other cards here, I think, are great for people who don't have all these cards. That is a fucking stupid thing to say. All cards are great if you don't have them. But anyways, if you are looking to spend keys on Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross and you don't have Blink or Nebula, go for it. I mean, you'll get a shitty card in Thaddeus, but you'll also get like one of the best 1-drops in the game. You'll get Blank, which is a cool card, a little underused or under-respected in the current metagame, but those 2 cards are great to have. So yeah, if you don't have both of those, open those caches, spin those keys. Sure, you'll get a bad card that's probably going to get buffed. Now, as far as tokens go, do I need to say anything here? No, don't spend your tokens. And if I'm an absolute idiot and I'm totally wrong, and it ends up being super busted 2 or 3 days from now, well, you can spend your tokens, and this video will just be a pointless video that I made.